Teacher Kubeka. We are live and ready to start whenever you are ready.
All right, I'm ready. Thanks, Melanie.
Pleasure.
Good afternoon, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome back to Mathematical Literacy Grade 12. So today is our last lesson for the week. And from Monday, guys, please take note. For those of you who are not going back to school, we are on study break from the 8th to the 16th. Then from the 17th to the those last 3 days, 17 to 19, we're having revision sessions. And then the week after that, we will start with formal assessments. We will explain the whole processes to you guys, né? But it will definitely cover work from, I almost said semester, work from term 2. And then, yeah, if you have any more questions, please feel free to send me an email. There's my email address in the front screen there. For those of you who are going back to school, all the best, ladies and gentlemen. You are still welcome to drop an email and view our classes on YouTube should you ever need help. If you need any specific topics or assistance with those specific topics, you are welcome to let me know. But we will do revision for the rest of you. We did the test on loans yesterday, remember? Today we do the marking. A lot of you didn't even get to answer all questions, but that's not a train smash. We'll deal with them today. Okay, this here is wrong. So guys, the first question was the sale or the value of the sale price. The sale price is the selling price, how much the house or the particular advertised item is going for. Here we see that the sale house for this house is 895,000 rands. So for the question 1, the answer was A. I'm trying to look at your answers from yesterday. So we only had Will, Genesis, Mitidisi, and Kamu who were answering, and they all got the first answer correct. Question 2, calculate the value of the deposit. You will see once again, we are given the deposit here as 15%. So to find the rand value, this is given in percentage form. Remember I told you, if you have forgotten how to do the conversions, go back to your textbooks or even grade 10 textbooks. Those ones, you see the lower grades textbooks will provide you with the basic information that you need. So when you need help with those basic details, go back to your lower grades textbooks, even as far as grade 9 and grade 8. There you will find proper steps that will teach you how to convert from percentages, that sort of information. But we covered it together as well. With deposit of 15%. So it is 15% of 895,000 rands, which is actually 15 divided by 100 multiplied by 895,000. Then your answer is 132,450. So for question 2, the answer was B. No, the answer is B. Okay, please correct me then, Genesis. Please correct me, Genesis. What's wrong? Let's work out our calculations. What did we do wrong? Take the 15% of 895. Please do the calculations with me. 895,000 rand. Oh yes, you're telling the truth. This is wrong, actually. Yes, so the answer is this one over here. 134,250. My bad, guys. 134,000. I hope it didn't affect the other answers. But we'll do them together if they're wrong, ne? Thank you, Genesis. There, that's the correct answer, C. So let's see. Will You all got that one correct. Yeah, all four of you got that one correct. And then determine the loan amount. I think I did that same mistake. The loan amount, I subtracted the wrong figure. It's the loan minus the, subtract the sale price of 895,000 rands, subtracting the deposit. And we've just worked out that the deposit is actually 134, right? 134,000 rands. So it's 895 minus 134,250 rands. 850,000 subtract that. The answer will, it's guys, I think this is, no, the answer definitely can't be C. Which one are you talking about? Which one are you talking about here with C? We were talking about question 2, right? Definitely not question 3. Question 3, it turns out we've got the wrong values here. So I guess we'll do the calculations together. So how then did you guys select the answers here? How are you selecting if you had the wrong value? Oh, okay, I see. We're talking about question 2. So 895 minus the 134,250. Your answer wouldn't be the 760. It would be 715. So what answer did you guys choose here? 134,250. Let me look at your answers from yesterday. 3A, A, A, A. You all chose A. Okay, answer is A. It's the loan amount. The formula is loan amount is equals to sale price minus the deposit. So you take the selling price, you subtract the deposit, because the deposit is your money. You're not getting a loan from the bank. The deposit comes from your pocket, right? It's the money that you yourself are paying the land for the house. Then the rest of that money, the loan amount, is the one that the bank or whatever other loan agent will be borrowing you. So that's why you'll take the sale price, subtract deposit to get your extra loan amount. So 3A. Question 4. Calculate the interest to be paid for the first month. What is the interest to be paid for the first month? We have determined that the loan amount is 760,750 rands, right? Multiply by what? But before we can go do that whole calculation, this value that we have here is 11% per annum. What do you need to do? You convert the 11% per annum to be a monthly rate. So you'll take this 11% and you will divide it by your 12. What is 11% divided by 12? Yes. So you find that value there, 0.91.9166666%, right? Then you multiply your loan amount with that value that we have converted there to be a monthly rate. So remember why I left it like this, guys, is you need to round off at the, I need you to round off at the very, very last step. That's why I kept it at this here. So you can do your conversion in the calculator there and then keep it until you are finished and until you are on your very, very last step. Then at the last step, can you then round off to increase the accuracy. So that's why I had written 0.91666, that 666%. That is key. This is the most important part of such a question. You convert the value given per annum and you convert it to per month. So every month you will be paying this much interest. Yeah? In interest rate. This is the interest rate you will be paying each month. But what did the question ask for? I asked you not to work out the interest rate, but to calculate the interest. But in order for you to be able to work out the interest, which is the rand value, you would first need to calculate the interest rate per month. So that's what we just did here, where we got the interest rate per month. Then you convert that interest rate to be the interest, which is the rand value. That is why we say 760,750, which is the loan amount, multiply by the interest rate. Then you get the rand value of that interest, which is your option D, 4D. But you need to also remember that the interest paid on the loan will differ every month because interest is calculated on the new balance. So whatever was the closing balance for month 1 would then be the opening balance for month 2. And month 2 will close with a different balance, which is way bigger than the closing balance from month 1. So it's increasing. That's why we spoke of compound interest. And then question 5, if the loan amount is 760,750 rands for a period of 20 years and the interest rate is 11%, calculate the monthly repayment. So I've shown you the steps here. These are the steps we need to follow. Monthly repayments. What are monthly repayments? The amount of money that must be paid back to the bank or loan agent every month. A table of values is used to calculate the monthly repayment according to the following method. So what's the formula? Loan amount divided by 1,000 multiplied by factor. What do we know about this loan over here? We know that this loan is at 11% per annum for 20 years. That is why we find 10.32 as the factor. 11% for 20 years, you locate the factor. Luckily for you, it's highlighted here. 10.32. Then you would have found your factor. Then you substitute the loan amount, divide by 1,000, multiply by 10.32. There you have your answer at 7,850 rands 94 cents. I haven't told you who got this one correct. It was question 5, 7,500 and 850. I selected the wrong one. So the question is C here. 7,850, right? There is the answer here. It's C. Question 5. Only one person said D, but everyone else answered C. So that was good, guys. Everyone else said D, but no, everyone got the correct answer of 5C. Only one said D. So I'm glad you understood that part. This formula, don't ever forget the formula. And then question 6. If you're given a loan amount of equals to 1,520,350 rands, the interest rate at 8.5%, and loan length of 20 years. What is the factor? So when you find the factor, what's important is the interest rate and the loan length. Loan length is 8.5%. 8.5%, and then 8.5% is the interest rate, and loan period is 20 years. So the correct factor here is 8.68, which is option B. For number 6, B, B, B. Everyone who answered got it correctly. So well done on that one. And then 7, determine the real cost of the loan given 10.32 as the factor. What is the real cost of this loan over here? You didn't even need to be told about the factor, right? I just wanted to confuse you if you could remember the correct formula for this one. So how would you work out the real cost? The real cost means you took out a loan for this sale price subtract the deposit, ne? You took out a loan for that difference, that amount. But there's interest accumulating over the years. That means the real cost of that loan, the bank only borrowed you a certain portion less than 895,000 rands to buy your house. But you are actually owing the bank way more money than they borrowed you. So you want to know what actually is the real cost of that loan. What is the real cost? How do you calculate it? It's monthly repayment amount multiplied by number of repayments made. Monthly repayment amount, we've already calculated it to be 7,850.94 cents. Multiply by what? Number of repayments. Number of repayments, you work it out from the loan length. So you convert your 20 years to be in months. How do you convert that? You would do your calculation of 20 multiplied by 12. And then here in your bracket, if you were to continue further, you'll find that it is 240 months, because each month you will be paying this monthly repayment. Each month for 240 months, this is how much you are expected to be paying towards this loan. So the real cost of this loan is 1,884,225 rands and 60 cents. The bank borrowed you 760,000 rands, but you now owe the bank 1,884,225 rands 60 cents. But remember, guys, this is just the baseline calculations. How much the real cost of the loan actually is depends on a lot of other factors as well, which you can manipulate, and you'd be able to pay your loan off at a lower price than this one. You will remember that one of the things when I was teaching the topic in the beginning, we discussed the interest, right? And I want to make an example of now the interest, and we covered the prime rate or the lending rate. When you notice now, especially in the headlines, you will see that the interest rate has gone down. So when the interest rate has gone down, it will affect which calculation? It will affect this calculation over here of finding the factor. So it will affect the monthly repayment. If in this case, the interest rate was 11%, right? This was the original interest rate. Then the interest rate changes because now during this time, the interest rate has lowered. So maybe now the interest rate is at about 7%. That means you would have a different factor, and you would work out your monthly repayment with the different values. Therefore, they would reduce the cost of your loan. That's why you keep hearing people say, if you have a loan right now, this is the best time to try and push to finish paying it off, because interest rates are at very low rates right now. Ne? Question 8, calculate the interest paid on this loan. How to work out interest paid? You take the real cost, subtract the original loan amount. Real cost is the 1,884,225 rands 60 cents that we've just calculated. Subtract the original loan amount, which is the original money the bank loaned you. It will be equals to 1,123 rands 123,475 rands and 60 cents. This is the interest you would have paid on this loan. It means you have paid back the original loan amount. On top of the original loan amount, you are paying a million, over a million rands. Oh, guys, the cost of living is very high. Do you realize that? Very, very, very high. But there are pros and cons to these things, ne? So we of course right now are only just looking at the money value of how you were borrowed, you borrowed only a little amount, but you have to pay back so much more. But there are reasons behind this, and there are a lot of pros and cons regarding this. So when you study the full picture of how this works, you might actually realize maybe it's not such a bad idea after all. Depends. Oftentimes, it is explained that the reason why you would end up paying back so much money to the bank, even though they borrowed you less amount, might be due to the fact that property is it increases in value over time. As opposed to, remember when we dealt with the traveling by car, we also mentioned how car has is the value of a car depreciates over time. The value of an asset, however, such as a house, is different in that it increases over time. So if you're able to buy this one house for 895,000 rands today, after 20 years, it's likely that it will be costing up over a million rands. So that is why it would probably be increasing so much. It's increasing according to the value. So that's how much it will be worth after 20 years. And you need to remember that you will actually own 100% of the house after 20 years when you are done paying all this money. If you can't finish paying off your house before the 20 years is over, and you can no longer pay your monthly repayments, the bank or the loan agent might repossess your house. Can you imagine that? You've spent 15 years paying, and then the last part of the last part after that, you can't pay. They'll take back the house or any other things that you own so that they can pay back for that money. So there are many advantages and disadvantages to this. Please tell me if you have any questions, now, guys. Then next question, question 9. The factors that can affect the total amount owed on a loan I listed below. Choose the incorrect factor. With the previous one, I actually didn't check which ones had gotten correct, which ones had gotten wrong. With question 8, two people had not answered question 8, and two people had answered, but the two who actually answered said it's D. So guys, I hope you are noting how we did the calculations here, ne? Because no one seems to have gotten the question 8 correct. So please pay attention. Its interest paid would be the real cost of the loan, subtract the original loan amount. I'm just emphasizing it because I realized no one got this one correct. Ne? Then on to the next one. The factors that can affect the total amount owed on a loan are listed below. Choose the incorrect factor. Here, remember with multiple choice questions, we'll try our best to confuse you. How you need to answer these questions is you choose the most correct answer. Most correct. Ne? So what I mean by that is I don't know, I want to try use a typical example. Probably I don't know. Let's say you are studying a multiple choice question would ask you what are the subjects, choose one of the subjects not taught in matric, ne? So choose one subject which is not taught in matric. I'd probably say A, there'd be mathematical literacy, B, there'd be English home language, C, accounting, D, finance. Which one is not taught in matric? Which one would you choose? If I were to phrase the question like that, subject not taught in matric, how would you answer that question? Would it be, which one would be the correct answer? A, remember I said you'd say mathematical literacy, B, English home language, C, accounting, D, finance. Which one is not taught in matric? Thanks, Genesis. You would say finance, right? It would be finance because All the others are most likely to be correct. This one is the least likely because as much as we know that certain sections of finance are taught in matric, but there is no particular subject called finance. That is why you would choose this one, finance. Thank you, and I'm glad you understand it. So, multiple choice questions would be confusing like that, but you need to choose the one with the, like when you on a scale of percentages or probabilities, you'd probably say this one is 100% correct, 100% correct, 100% correct. And the one which is not 100% correct, then that would be the one you choose in cases of a question set up like this. That's why even here, you'd understand that deposit affects the total loan amount owed on a loan. Interest rate would affect that as well. Loan length also affect. And when we are trying to be really, really technical, you'd realize that even compound interest does affect it, right? But how does it affect it? It affects it through these other factors. That is why this one is the incorrect one over here. The factors we discussed were deposit, interest rate, and loan length. Let me check and see who got this one correct or wrong. Number 9, it was okay. Two people didn't answer. The one who answered said D. Genesis said D, and then the other one said B. Okay, so Genesis got it right. The other ones, I think there's a bit of confusion, but I hope it's clearer now, guys. Ne? That is why D is the correct answer over here. Question 10. The shorter the period of the loan, the shorter the amount of time to earn interest. Question 10. I see you, yeah, all of you were correct. What do you mean by this? Let me explain. The shorter the period of the loan, meaning here the loan length. If you have a loan length, a shorter loan length, in this example we're working with, we had 20 years of the loan length. In the case whereby you probably have 10 years as the loan length, that means the loan has a shorter amount of time to earn interest. Remember, we said interest is busy accumulating on the different closing balance. It keeps on accumulating. So 10 years versus 20 years of interest accumulating, that would significantly affect the loan amount. Do you realize that? Because here, the money you owe would stop increasing at 10 years if your loan length is 10 years. But if it is 20 years, it would keep on increasing and increasing and increasing until the 20 years is over. So yes, the loan length does affect your interest rate. And the shorter the loan length, the shorter the amount of time to earn interest. This was straightforward. We learned it here in this topic when we discussed the loan length and or monthly repayments. Scenario, the life of a loan is changed from 20 years to 15 years. With this very same example we're working with, we had 20 years. Now assume you're changing it to 15 years. The life of the loan shortens, and then when you shorten the life of the loan, it's still the same loan amount. Remember, you are still borrowed 760,750 rands. The only thing we are changing now is that instead of you paying it back in 20 years, you can pay it back according to this one in 15 years. But what effect will that have on your monthly repayments? Your monthly repayments will increase because you are trying to fit all that 760,750 in 15 years, as opposed to when you were stretching it for the 20 years. So if you want to shorten your loan length, you need to be aware that you will need to then pay higher monthly repayments, as opposed to if you have a longer loan length, then you will decrease your monthly repayment. I hope you understand the correlation here. If you increase loan length, you reduce monthly repayments. If you reduce loan length, you increase monthly repayments. So it's vice versa. It's indirectly proportional. You hope you get that right now. Please feel free to stop me if I'm confusing you at any point. There is the graph to show when you change your loan length. The one in blue is the original one of 240 months, which is 20 years. Then the one in red is if you have reduced your loan length to 180 months. You will realize that here you would have paid it off quicker. Yes, it's still the same 750,000 there at the top. That's why they are both at the same starting point. But you would be done paying your loan off at this 180 months. But if you were stretching it for 20 years, you'll only finish after that part. It means though you would be paying higher monthly repayments for this one in red, but lower monthly repayments for the one in blue. Then the next one, question 11. I know we didn't get to question 12, but I'll do it with you guys. We only got to question 11 to yesterday. The larger the deposit, the larger the loan amount. This is false. Okay, I see I have a question. Oh, okay. The larger the deposit, the larger the loan amount. This is false, guys. Why? If with the same scenario you are borrowing 760,000, let's just round it off roughly. You borrowed 700 and oh, it wasn't even 760,000. Okay, let me make it simpler terms. I borrow from you. I want to buy your phone, and you are selling your phone to me for 100 rands, but with 20 rands deposit. You say I must first pay a deposit of 20 rands. Let me check, Will, if you guys got that one correct. 11B, 11B. One person said A, but yes, the three of you, Will, one of you are also included. You got that one correct. So yes. So I'm buying your phone from you. You are selling your phone to me, but you're selling it for 100 rands. And you are telling me the deposit is 20 rands. So if I want you to give me the phone in monthly installments, I need to give you 20 rands. Ne? Fine. That is the deal. So it means I would owe the bank who is going to borrow me that money to give to you. I would owe them 80 rands because it would be the 100 rands, subtract the deposit of 20 rands, it would be 80 rands. Then interest would be calculated on this 80 rands. You'd remember now because this is the loan amount. This is the deposit. The 20 rands is the deposit. The 100 rands is the selling price. So this 80 rands here is the loan amount. So interest will be accumulating on this 80 rands all the time. Interest is accumulating on this 80 rands. It's calculated on this 80 rands. But what happens if, yes, you've set your deposit at 20 rands, but I decide, no, I'd rather pay you deposit of 50 rands and only borrow 50 rands from the bank. That means the loan amount would then be 50 rands because I took out a deposit of 50 rands. Then the loan amount is 50 rands. And then now interest will accumulate on the 50 rands instead of the 80 rands. What this means then is this: if you have a large deposit, 50 rands deposit versus 20 rands deposit, it means the loan amount would be low, would be less, it would be lower, right? The larger the deposit, the lower the loan amount. So we are working with the same scenario when you have the same selling price. You can see that difference, right? Here, I had a loan amount of 80 rands because I took a deposit of 20 rands. But now, I paid a deposit of 50 rands, and it means my loan amount is lower, which is 50 rands. So that is why it is false. The larger the deposit, the lower the loan amount. That would be the correct statement. Here, we've also discussed it over here. Instead of paying 15% deposit, you could pay 20% deposit. And then when you do that, that will also affect your loan time because then interest would be accumulating on this new loan amount. So your loan could be paid off in 197 months instead of the 240 months. You'll see here the difference with this one here. The difference there at the top, the loan amount for the one in blue was when you paid a lower deposit. But the one in red is when you have paid a higher deposit. So that means the loan amount has reduced. It is lower. And a lower loan amount means a shorter loan length compared to a high loan amount with a higher loan length. You see the differences in the graph there. I hope you are clearly identifying these. If you ever get a question and you just shown the graphs, you would be able to identify. You just look at those factors that here the loan amount differs. Then the number of months or the loan length would also differ. And here the graph is decreasing at a faster rate. Why? Because there will be a shorter loan length. You're paying it off at a quicker rate than as opposed to when you're paying it off for 240 months. This one we didn't get to do because we didn't have time. But what is the question? The question is, the lower the interest rate, the lower the amount charged on the loan. The answer is true here. And this is when I explained we had a whole session on repo rates and prime rates and how all of these are affected. I even mentioned it briefly today. There'd be a rate which is set by the Reserve Bank, which we call the repo rate. And then the repo rate it would also inform the prime rate that the banks would use when they borrow money. So remember when I explained that you borrow money from the bank is borrowing money from the Reserve Bank. So the rate there, the prime rate is the rate that the bank borrows from the Reserve Bank from. That's the rate they use. So I probably will say maybe the prime rate is, let's say the prime rate is usually 11%, or let's say it's 10%. The prime rate is 10%. Then the bank will decide to charge you to have an extra interest rate of about 2% to charge to you. That means the total interest rate you will pay is the prime rate plus this 2%. So the interest rate you will be charged by the bank would be 12%. So whenever you get an interest rate from the bank, it means it is the prime rate plus the other percent set by the other interest rate set by the bank. Then they will give you this one over here. Right now, since the lockdown started and the whole COVID-19 issue, the prime rates and the repo rates have decreased. So probably now you would find that it's going at about 7%, maybe 7% or 6%. I haven't checked the latest one. Yeah? But because it has decreased now, it is about 7%. This 2% hasn't changed from the bank. It's only this one which is informed by the Reserve Bank, right? Because it is affected by the repo rate. It would now be what? How much would you be paying? It would be 9%. So it's still the same house which you took, probably you signed up for it 2 years ago. You were paying 12% interest rate all this time. But since March this year, February, March, you have now been paying 9% interest rate. This means even your monthly premiums, your monthly installments have decreased because the interest rate have decreased. And if you lower the interest rate, you lower the monthly repayments, it means you even lower the amount charged on the loan. That is why we are saying it is the perfect time. If you can pay off way more monthly installments right now, pay them off, or advise your parents too, because I'm not expecting you guys to have debts at your age. Ne? But if you do, and I don't know what would be the reason, but if you do, honestly, think about it, pay them off. If you have a car as you took on a loan, pay it off. Any of those things, pay them off right now while the interest rate is so low. However, like other people will hear them saying this is also the best time to buy. I'm not sure I completely agree with that. Why? Because like we've just mentioned, it's because right now the interest rate is low. So you need to look at your budget. If you could not afford a house or a car at 12% interest rate, then you probably shouldn't be buying because right now it's 9%. Why? It won't remain 9% forever. It won't remain this low forever. They are this low right now due to the crisis in the world. As soon as things are back to normal, even the interest rate will increase once again, and you'd find yourself in trouble because even then your monthly repayments would increase, and then you wouldn't be able to cope because you could only afford it at 9%. So be mindful of those things at all times. Ne? Study, study, study. That's why we are studying this, so that you don't just take anyone's word for it. When banks call and they say they have you qualify for a loan and they want to offer you, first check your finances and see if you can really qualify for that, or if you really can afford that, before you jump into debts just because interest rate is low right now. It's only for now. It will go back up once again. This was, I want to show you the graph there. The graph of the changing interest rate shows you there's not much of a difference because it fluctuates. At some points, the monthly repayments would be lower. At some points, they'll be higher. It will very rarely stay the same over the course of a home loan. It frequently changes, so the monthly amount will change whenever the interest rate changes. So it doesn't change the life of the loan, it will only change just once in a while. But if you can quickly finish it off, and if you can pay probably higher amounts and increase your monthly repayments, then that would affect it. So if you increase your monthly repayments when the interest rate has lowered, then that could affect the loan length. Ne? I hope we are all clear, guys. Thank you so much. That is it from me today. Guys, I know some of you are going back to school, so please stay safe. Ne? Take care of yourselves. And whenever you can, please log on to class. We are still here. The class isn't going anywhere. We're just going on study break for 1 week. We are back on the 17th doing more revision. I've noted the things that you want us to do for revision. But if you have any more that you want us to do for revision, do drop me an email. Even if you are going back to class, actually, drop me an email, because if you tell me those topics, we will cover them in class. They will be on YouTube and you'll be able to watch them. So do tell me all the topics you need help with and we will cover them. There's no maths lit confirmed class yet, Genesis. Only maths, life sciences, physical sciences, and I'm not sure of the fourth one. English, yeah. So no maths lit as yet. But stay on the sign up for the newsletter just so you can be on the loop about everything. But everything else you're not sure about, like I told you, you are most welcome to always email me and I promise to respond. Oh, guys, I'm gonna miss you guys so much. Please take care of yourselves. Wash your hands, wear your masks, eat healthy foods, ne? And yeah, take care of yourselves. It's winter now. Stay warm. Thank you, thank you, thank